Okay, so today's project is to put together a play set. It's from Backyard Discovery. I don't remember exactly what the model is, but it was about $350 from Walmart. And I'm going to try to document the whole process here, and so people know how difficult it is. So if you open it up, this is what it looks like inside. Kind of amazing that they fit the whole thing into this little package here. The box is, I don't know, I'd say like 7 feet long, 18 inches wide, about a foot tall, and it probably weighs like 300-400 pounds. You can see it's got the little team lift thing right there. It would fit fine in the back of a pickup. We picked it up with like a little trailer when we got it. So yeah, all in all, seems like a good deal. We'll see how it goes together. Okay, so I started unloading this box at maybe like 9:20. I didn't check exactly, but this is what all the contents look like, kind of spread out and halfway organized. Not 100% organized because my little helper here. But basically it took me about 20 minutes just to unload the box. So again, that's kind of the extent of what's in the box. And now we'll take a look at the instructions and we'll see if we can't start putting some of this together. So I decided to get a little table and set out all the different hardware because there is a bunch of it. So these are all the screws and washers and nuts and bolts and everything. And you can see that there's about a dozen different bags, and then this bag right here has about, maybe a dozen bags in it of all the various types of hardware to put this thing together. So a lot of hardware. A lot of hardware. Okay, phase one is complete. Slide is put together. The swing set thing is put together. Ro is already enjoying it, as you can see. Probably the biggest thing that we made a mistake on is that on the top of this go the wider holes, whereas on the bottom go the narrow holes where this just goes in, if you can see that. We had that messed up the first time we did it, so we had it backwards. We need to take it off and switch it around. So the big holes are the top. That's the thing to keep in mind. Big holes are on the top.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got this side done. Couple of things to note is that this board, the H2 board, it doesn't really specify where, but it's supposed to go somewhere like that, but I think we're just gonna wait on that until we kind of get some more done. And then also this little fella, the the N1, it goes up here like that. But again, I didn't really see a purpose of putting it on quite yet without like knowing exactly what it does. So gonna leave that for later too. Then the other thing is this K4 board right here. It actually uses shorter bolts. It's, if you look at it from the side, it's slightly thinner than the G2 above it. And so it actually uses shorter bolts, and I didn't realize that at first. So we couldn't get them tight, and we wondered what was going on with that. So make sure you check the bolt sizes on that one, because these ones are different than the rest of those. So this is where we got day one, maybe about 5 hours worth of work, with a couple of adults and a couple of kids helping. So we got the main fort is pretty much built. There's not very much wood left, so just a little bit left to do with that. I think basically there's like a bench to build down here, and that's about the extent of it. And then get the tarp and stuff on. Slide's done, swing frame is done, and so I'm guessing we got maybe about an hour and a half worth of work left to do here. Probably the biggest frustration out of the project was putting on this right here, which is like the middle floor support, and you got this board on this side, the board on the opposite side, and then the board running here. Those, it asked us to measure to put those up, and if you don't put it up exactly in the right spot, then you'll have a gap between the floorboards here and the brace. So my recommendation would be to not put those pieces on until you put on these outside pieces on this side and the other side over there, because they've got designated holes that these floorboards mount to. And then what we had to do was we had to remove this and then hold it up and then drill new holes and put the slags back in so it would actually support the middle of the floor in there. So that's probably the biggest thing, the biggest issue that we've had, which wasn't very big at all. So all in all, it's going together pretty well. And once you kind of figure out like which bolts go with which washers and things like that, then it goes pretty quickly after you start putting it together. So yeah, about 5 hours worth of work into it right now, and we're hoping to get it finished up in about an hour and a half. Just got the little table put on. Thought I'd explain how I did it. First of all, I attached these boards to this before I put it on this, so I could do this, so I could set the level up. This is pretty easy actually. Like over here, you just line it up to the bottom of your brace that you put in, and then since I don't have my helper here, and even if I did, I think this might actually work better, but then I just clamped it, leveled it, and then clamped it on the other side, and then I was able to really quickly zip all the rest of that stuff in there. So that's how I did it. There's still a support to go in the middle there, but I've got to do that. But I just thought I'd update here. here's the finished project. I thought it took 2 days, probably a total of about 8 hours with a couple of adults working on it, at least for me. And I just wanted to do kind of like a walkthrough around it to give my final impressions. All in all, I'd say for about $350, it's really like a pretty good value. But you got to understand that that's pretty cheap, and the warranty says it's covered for 5 years, like against rot and things like that. And I would say that is like a pretty safe estimate of how long it'll last under normal wear and tear. But if you have like really big kids and stuff, like that are just like wrenching on this thing and like really beating it up, I don't think it'll even last that long. Like, a lot of the boards are really like flimsy and have a lot of flex to them and things like that. It's definitely not meant to last. Like, this is for your kids, not your kids and then your grandkids. It's not gonna last like that. So if you're looking for something of that quality, you'll have to look elsewhere. The couple of things to note is pay close attention. I don't really have one here to show you, but pay close attention to, here, I can show you this one, the lock washers that you're supposed to use, because like right here, I ended up having to run to the hardware store to grab a couple of extra ones because I used the wrong size in some instances, so be careful with those. And let's see, what else do I want to say? Up top here, on these swings, these washers are kind of wonky, like the way that these things fit in like that. If I can get it focused in. So you got to kind of make sure that those go in correctly. And then this is how it's set up. We didn't know that specifically when we were making it. So you want the hooks coming out to be parallel with the board, and then you kind of have this little like bushing that the swings can run on. The other issue that came about was getting the slide on was kind of a pain in the butt. You have to actually drill these holes and then line those up. That was like a two-man, not really a two-man job, but it helped having two people just to guide things in. And I would say probably the worst quality thing about all this is this little bench right here, which without a support in the middle, like, I think I'm gonna add one, because this thing already like flexes a ton, and definitely if an adult sits on it, it's not gonna last at all. So I know I said kind of a lot of negative things there for a minute. One other thing that I'll say is, like, this thing is kind of wonky right here, this little awning, because only one slag holds those in. So that's a little weird, so I ended up adding a couple extra screws. I had like a bunch of extra hardware left over afterwards, so I don't know if it's like why that is necessarily, but I did have a bunch left over. So anyway, I'm going through kind of a lot of negatives, but all in all, I think for 300 or 350 bucks, like, I know Ro's gonna get a ton of use out of this, and you know, probably our second kid whenever that comes about. So yeah, good value as long as you're not expecting it to last more than 5 years, I would say. And you know, pretty straightforward putting it together. I didn't find it too challenging. Just, you know, you're gonna have to allocate about 8 hours. So, you know, a weekend project, if you're working casually, you could get it done in all one day if you were really working hard on it. The other thing, one last thing that I'll note, is down here, the ladder, right? All this stuff is like, it's gonna settle and it's not gonna be perfect. So you got to, like, I ended up putting in a couple of treated chunks of wood down here in the ground, which I'll replace with concrete later, just to steady like the ladder to sit on and things like that. And I'll probably go and kind of do that around other spots. So just know that you're going to have to take some precautions to get it to sit stably. I haven't staked it down. I don't think that's going to be necessary here, but you know, who knows, maybe in the future. So yeah, all in all, pretty happy with it for 350 bucks. And we'll see how it lasts.